Need to get space for materials.
You got any of your people here? Yeah. No, I mean like the, you always get.
You talking about video?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, okay.
I can get some.
Hey, how you doing? Good to see you, man. Good. Okay, nice to see you, brother. Yes, sir. Too blessed to be stressed.
Yes, ma'am. How you doing?
Hey, how are you? Good. Good. And did you sign on or? And did you sign on? Hey.
Hey,
Yeah.
good to see y'all.
How are you? Good.
The Congresswoman usually goes live.
I'm finna get my phone so we can go live run and I tag.
It's Isaiah. Handle that, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna get somebody to go live.
Isaiah, handle that, please. Thank you.
Get somebody to hold.
Yeah.
Hey, Joey, hold on for a second.
Yeah. Change. Excuse me. Yeah, let him move your phone out.
Right to her right corner. Okay.
I'm just trying to wait till all levels of the media are set up. Can you? I'm trying to see where's the list they gave me. Oh,
They still filling out, Congresswoman.
okay.
Yeah, y'all balance this out. Come over here on this side.
Congresswoman was trying to take a picture of me.
Okay.
He like, look over here.
You gonna hold it up? Yeah, deal. All right.
Just walk in, look, he's talking about, look.
We're talking about her hair right now. Yours
We're
too.
talking,
Yours too. You have braids? No, you doesn't, but she does. Yes. You have what? Oh, but that's hair. You know.
did you sign?
Okay, we're waiting on you, sir. Okay.
Sheila, can I sign?
Yeah, where?
Just right here, Congresswoman.
Here's
Right
the
there. Thank you.
Phone's off, guys.
What year was it that you passed?
It was last year.
Last year.
Last year.
So this is for you 23? In session 23?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
In
Doing
the
88.
88.
88. And it went to effect September 1st.
Where's my phone? Oh.
Congresswoman, I gotta get you a new case, honey, 'cause baby, that thing,
Yeah,
all
this-
my life I had to fight.
I didn't have
She
time.
been working, baby.
Yep.
That's a working woman.
Okay, he
fight.
said you're good.
You good? Good afternoon. I'm Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, senior member on the House Judiciary Committee, and I was hoping on this day, February the 23rd, 2024, I would not have to stand here for another crisis of major discrimination for a sector of American culture, America's history, America's population. if it was a circumstance with the Hispanic community, because of their cultural uniqueness, I would be standing with them. The Anglo community, the Asian community, because that's what America is all about. We are a mountain of differences that come together out of unity of the respect for the red, white, and blue. We are unified as Americans. And I am stunned, literally stunned, of a fight that I have to make for young Mr. George to be treated like a decent human being and be able to receive the education that the tax dollars of his parents and of his family pay for every single day. Every single day. So today, the Crown Act will now become a federal challenge. And I expect that the United States Congress will join me targeting Texas as a state that tried to do the right thing, but that was rejected by a single state district court judge. Unacceptable. Let me begin by saying, as of February 2021, the United States Army removed minimum hair length requirements and lifted restrictions on any soldier wearing braids, twists, locks, and cornrows in order to promote inclusivity and accommodate the hair needs of soldiers. In February 2021, the fighting men and women of the United States Army were given the permission and removed the minimum hair length requirements and lifted restrictions on any soldier wearing braids, twists, locks, and cornrows. That means if you want to have the Marine cut, you can have it. If you want to be bald, you can have it. If you want to wrap your hair because you happen to be Native American and there's something that you choose to emphasize, you can have it. In the United States of America, you are not discriminated against when you go to shed your blood on the front lines for Americans, for that very judge. And so this is not anger or violence against a sitting judge. I will never engage in any language that involves that. But the opinion to say that a teenage boy has to be isolated in a cubicle or a class and cannot interact because he has cornrows that are way up on his head,
That's right.
not doing anything to disturb the respect that he would have for his fellow students, for his teachers, for his activities that are needed. There's nothing that he has. And I'm not sure that we have his picture here. There is no place, there's no place that his hair is showing, none. And so I remember being on the floor of the House in 2020, thank you, in 2021 and 2022. This bill was carried by Cedric Richmond, who ultimately became a special advisor to the President of the United States because his work was so respected and it had the impact of helping young people who were silent, their parents were silent, across America. They didn't know where to go. And when he introduced the Crown Act for the federal government, we went to the floor of the House. I'm an original co-sponsor. Year 20, 21, and 22. Because it was so urgent that the children were suffering and their self-esteem, their confidence. This is a respectful look. It bothers no one. But yet we have an opinion that says that the state that worked in the last session of Congress, the state of Texas, let me congratulate them, in the last session of Congress, last session of the state legislature, the 88th session, miracles happened.
Yes.
They were able to pass a Crown Act that protected hairstyles.
That's right.
Hairstyles. But the interpretation of the court was that it had to do with length. We in the federal government said, let the states have their individual laws. We will respect that. If the states have their individual laws and the parents of the children in the state agree with that, then we, the federal government, will let the state take care of it. And so the state of Texas passed the law. Governor Abbott signed the law, which indicated that this young man was okay,
That's right.
that he did everything he was supposed to do. He was neat. He was attractive. He did everything he was supposed to do. But the opinion says that they're going to go up to his head and measure the hair that is not hanging down.
That's right.
The hair is not hanging down. Length. And that Barbers Hill, the school district, can go to your child's hair and say it's too long. It's neat.
Yes.
It's clean. It's washed. You are the family. It may be a religious reason. It may be hairstyle. It may be family tradition. You're the mother and father, the aunt and uncle, the grandparents, the custodians, and you say it's okay for you to have this neat look. You are the guardians.
Yes. Yes.
But you have a school district that is telling you to go into his hair and measure hair that is not seen, that is not hanging down.
That's right.
How can you deny this boy? I want everybody to know he's not in class.
That's right.
He's in an isolated cubicle. He's like in a cell
Yes.
that he has to learn. Already his learning has been diminished.
That's right.
His confidence diminished. I can't even believe he's still standing. But he is.
Yes.
And so I believe it is crucial, and I will, in fact, provide some pointed remarks here about the federal government's intervention. I am calling on today the United States Department of Education. I believe there's a Title VI violation of his civil rights. That's education. I'm going to utilize the practices of the United States Army. What is a higher entity than the military that you must regulate? I will be calling upon that example, that they have gotten rid of any requirements regarding hair in 2021. I am then calling, and I have already called the Department of Justice, the U.S. Department of Education. I have already called the Department of Justice and gave them notice, if you will, that I will be sending an official request. I have called and have spoken to members of Congress who intend to reintroduce this bill.
Yes.
We now will have greater standing because we have a court decision that overlooked
Yes.
the First Amendment, which is the freedom of expression. They overlooked the 14th Amendment, which is equal protection under the law. So to Mr. George, young Mr. George, they denied him his freedom of speech,
Yes.
which, by the way, is a silent speech. He has disturbed no one.
That's right.
And then you have now taken away from him, legally, the right to have equal protection under the law. So another student with long hair, just because their hair is long, their culture is long, their family has hair and it's long, they're of a different culture, that is accepted, but his is not. I never thought I'd be standing here in 2024 to fight this fight. But as I told you, Asian Americans, I'd be standing here. Hispanic Americans, I'd be standing here. Anglo Americans, I'd be standing here. And on the floor of the House, these are my statements every year. 2020, 2021, 2022. We will introduce this bill again, because what we had said as the federal government, let the states where there were problems pass laws, and Texas did that. Now we have an opinion that wrongly digs into the weeds,
Yes.
dealing with the length of hair that is not evident here. His hair is up. And Barbers Hill should have complied with state law. And so if you have not complied with state law, then you are violating the federal civil rights of this young man. And I will tell you that I have been received warmly at the Department of Justice regarding this case, because we believe that this is a potential class action case, because we believe that there are cases of young people across America whose parents, guardians have suffered, have succumbed to whatever the instruction was, and has not been able to expand their child's civil rights. But it really breaks my heart. I am stunned that he is in isolation, and he has done no criminal act.
Nothing.
In isolation, custodial isolation. How long can you go to school and be in custodial isolation? And then when the parents did the right thing by going to court with their counsel, when they went to court, an opinion came and went beyond the state law to be able to talk about lip. So my last words as I bring up the state legislators who are instrumental and leaders in this is just to share these thoughts with you. I told you I didn't think I'd have to come to this point. Just as I didn't think, I know this is an aside and I want to make sure I have my friends from Mississippi, but yesterday, 2 years ago, I was in Lithuania when Russia invaded Ukraine. I couldn't believe that either, that they would come to stamp on democracy. I cannot believe Alabama with IVF, when desperate families in this America are simply trying to have a loving family. Many of us standing here are parents. I can't believe it. And so here I am now, trying to break the lock on the isolation chamber of this young man. So let me share with you, dress code and grooming policies that prohibit natural hairstyles are being used to target and marginalize and discriminate against, in this instance, black students. This is a criminalization of black identity and black culture. Remember I said he is in an isolated cubicle.
That's right.
These policies perpetrate racism and marginalize students of color. All of this comes as we prepare to mark the 70th anniversary of Brown versus the Board of Education, a landmark Supreme Court case. 66% of black girls in majority white schools report experiencing hair discrimination. They are still calculating the numbers of young men. Culturally responsive and racially inclusive education gives students a sense of self-worth and belonging. Self-worth and belonging. We need to examine whether these policies violate Title VI of the Civil Rights Act and whether or not they violate any aspects of the Department of Justice civil rights protection. That is what I will be following. As I mentioned to you, my congressional colleagues have already called me. They are stunned and they are overwhelmed and they are hurt. And they said they cannot move back to Washington fast enough to try to bring relief to this young man. I'd now like to ask the President and Chair of the Texas Black Legislative Caucus, State Legislative Caucus, Mr. Representative Ron Reynolds, to provide us with some of his comments. Sign in.
Thank you, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. I'm Ron Reynolds, proud to serve as State Representative for District 27 and Chair of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus. And I'm proud to be joined today by one of our members who was there with me yesterday in the courtroom, and Representative Jolanda Jones, who you'll hear from. I'm also proud to be standing here with Dr. Candace Matthews with the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats, the chair, and all of these stakeholders. Some have traveled from Mississippi and other states. Listen, I'm a joint author of the bill. Retta Andrews Bowers, Representative Retta Andrews Bowers is the bill author, and I'm the joint author. We filed the Crown Act specifically in response to what Barbers Hill did originally to DeAndre Arnold. He was the original student from Barbers Hill that had dreadlocks, some of you may remember, and he was subject to disciplinary action, in-school suspension. He was told, Congresswoman, either you cut your hair to comply with now what we know from the full-page ad that Superintendent Poole put in the Houston Chronicle, comply. That's what he wants the students to do, conform to European standards. So DeAndre took a stand. He didn't cut his dreads, and he should not have. We didn't have the Crown Act then, but we passed the Crown Act this session, House Bill 567, which protects students and people in the workplace from protective hairstyles, including braids, locks, and twists. That law was passed. Governor Abbott signed it. Now, I'm going to tell you, it is very difficult in Texas to pass any bill that the Legislative Black Caucus champions. I'm just going to be honest with you. This was one of our top 2 legislative priorities. We passed it, and we were so excited because we knew no longer could school districts like Barbers Hill discriminate against students like Darryl. And it really broke our heart when this bill went into effect on September the 1st of 2023, when the school year started. The law was in effect. Barbers Hill knew this. We sent out that everywhere. Every school district knew it. The NAACP Legal Defense Fund, who already had a lawsuit from what they did to DeAndre, they sent it to them. Barbers Hill was put on notice that this was the law. And what did they do, Congresswoman? They discriminated against this student again. It was deja vu all over again. This time they said, well, you know what? The Crown Act, you guys passed it, but it didn't cover length. This was a damn shame, and I'm sorry I'm using the word language, but I'm upset. I'm angry that we worked so hard to pass a law, bipartisan, because of this school district. Out of all the school districts in the state, this is the only school district that was doing this. So they came up with this policy that said it violate their student dress code policy. And even though this hair is neat, as Congresswoman laid out, they said that it was too long if it was laid out. First of all, it wasn't laid out. And second of all, it wasn't too long. So long story short, the attorney, Allie Booker, challenged it, and we went to court, and unfortunately the judge ruled in Barbers Hill favor. We testified. Jolanda Jones had an affidavit. Representative Carl Sherman, he was there. Representative Retta Andrews Bowers submitted an affidavit. I testified to the judge what the legislative intent was, that it was to protect these hairstyles. It had nothing to do with length. Length, you can't have dreads, twists, and braids without having any kind of length. Cultural competence tells you that, right? The judge disregarded that. This is an assault. So we are now thankful that Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee is willing to push this legislation at the federal level and lawsuits, because even though we passed it at the state level, the judge just showed that they're not going to enforce a state law. We didn't have the TEA, Mike Morath, to come protect the student. We didn't have the Attorney General, Congresswoman, come in to protect and enforce the law. When other laws have been broken, we've had the Attorney General And we've had TEA commissioners say, hey, HISD, hey, Fort Bend ISD, hey, Montgomery, Barbers Hill, you're in violation. You need to cease and desist immediately. They were silent. They were silence is complicity. So, Congresswoman, we need the federal government.
Yes.
We need the federal government to come in. We need the
coming.
Department of Justice. We need the Department of Education to come in and help pass law and enforce it at the federal level so that we can stop discriminating against black boys that are simply trying to get an education. And I'll conclude with this. This young man, is Representative Jelana Jones and Dr. Matthews will tell you, we were all in tears because he was so heartbroken. His mother was shaken. They were trembling. They could not even talk. They could not even barely walk to their vehicle. They were so weak because they had been deflated. It's like everything had been taken out of them. They came in with a sense of optimism and hope and faith that they put everything, that the judge would uphold the law that we passed, only to find out that their son has to either cut his hair or continue almost in prison-like conditions of isolation. So, Congresswoman, again, the Texas Legislative Black Caucus stands behind you. We stand behind the Congressional Black Caucus as we champion this at the federal level, and we will go to Washington, D.C. and wherever we need to go, just like when we were fighting for federal voting rights, to make sure that Texas does the right thing.
You can come and have a home up there until we get this done.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Thank you, Dr. Matthews. Thank you for all of our people from Mississippi, all these young people that were courageous, that were there. This is not right, and we will continue to fight and speak truth to power. Thank you.
This is not right. This is not right. Let me just, as I bring up, and thank you very much, Representative Reynolds, for the co-authoring work that you have done, as I have co-authored, and as I bring forward our state representative whose area we are now sitting in as we speak, I believe, and then, of course, Dr. Candace Matthews, who we have traveled the road together. But I just got to do this as I bring her up. If this young man had just been allowed to be Mr. George and to go to class, he would have not been a source of any disturbance. You wouldn't know that he was not part of the 1,500, 1,000, 500, 4,000 students that walked the halls of Barbers Hill High School.
That's right.
You would not know. He did not create the disturbance.
No.
He is just a student.
That's right.
And if you recall, not only is it this incident, but everyone remembers the national incident of the wrestler that had long locks and had to cut them in the middle of the exhibition of wrestling. Either lose the placing, default,
That's right.
or cut your locks. And they had the scissors in front of the whole stadium and cut the young man's locks in front of the throngs of human beings who were there to wish him well.
Yeah.
If they had left him alone, he would have created no disturbance. And he would not have stood out, and he would not have been a person that caused anyone any, if I use the term, upsetness.
That's right.
This is the same for this young man. If he could go to class, all he would be is one of his friends' friends, his hangout, his teachers' students who are teaching him for his future in life. Just keep holding him up here because it is very clear that we have a crisis of civil rights. So the Justice Department is going to be my anchor, and the Department of Education, the civil rights of this young man, and throngs of students frightened, panicking, and that's what's happening to his family. They had to file a federal injunction, but they are panicked about their circumstance right now. Representative Jelana Jones.
I had plenty of people tell me not to go yesterday and drive to Anahuac. I didn't know where it was. But I drove. I got up very early in the morning and I went. And I needed to see what they did to that baby with my own eyes. I needed to feel it. I wasn't real hopeful as I was driving on that little country road and I saw those flags and I thought, man, we look like we're in the Confederacy. But I said, you know, we're before a judge. We'll be presenting evidence. I decided or agreed to submit an affidavit to survive a motion for summary judgment because it went to what the legislative intent was of the Crown Act. I was a co-author of the Crown Act, or I am a co-author of the Crown Act. And I did submit an affidavit, and I proudly voted for it because I've had hair issues. And so what I'd like to bring to this press conference is to help you understand the struggles of black hair. I am the state representative for House District 147, and I identify with Darryl. I identify with Darryl because people ask me about my hair all the time. Before I ran for city council, I used to be a city council member. I had perm on my hair, relaxer. I have extremely coarse hair. Every single solitary time that I got a relaxer on my hair, my scalp burned. Since my mother started putting relaxers on my hair when I was 5 years old. So I would have chemical burns in my head, try all kind of concoctions to make it, squeeze stuff on it. I mean, put Vaseline to base my scalp. Black folks know what basing is. Basing, Lord, please don't let this burn my scalp. And at some point I just said, you know what? I'm just tired of this. I'm just tired of this. I'm tired of people wanting my natural hair to look like white people's hair and be straight. And so I decided I was gonna cut my hair off. You know Keith Wade. Keith was my advisor. This is when I was running for city council. I wanted to cut my hair off. I was just tired. Keith said, you cannot cut your hair off, Jolanda. You gonna scare white people. That's what he said. I literally had this conversation with my political advisor. I said, but Keith, I'm tired of my hair burning. I'm tired. My hair is not like this. I've been burning my scalp for over 30 years. Keith said, well, just wait till the election is over. Get elected first. I got elected on Saturday, December 8th. Why do I remember this? Saturday, December 8th of 2007, I got elected to Houston City Council. On Tuesday, December 11th, because the barbershops in the black community closed on Saturday and Sunday, on Monday. On Sunday and Monday. Am I telling the truth?
That's right.
Why do I know this? Right? I cut my hair off on that Tuesday morning. I was thankful that I didn't have to burn my scalp anymore. I went to a luncheon that the city had for outgoing council members because I was a council member elect. And do you know the Houston Chronicle wrote an article about me? Why did I cut my hair? Why is that newsworthy? Everybody was like, what's wrong with your hair? You was pretty with hair. I said, I'm pretty without hair. Because why are you judging me by European standards?
That's
so
right.
I understand Darryl.
That's right.
So as I'm driving through, we go into the courtroom. My day job is I'm a trial lawyer. People mess with you, I mess with them in court. I know the rules of court. This is what I noticed when I walked in. There was a white male judge. There was a white woman court reporter. I was paying attention. The school board was there, lily white. On their side, it was one black person who was in a suit. He was probably the token black person. I paid attention. A lily white courtroom. The only black people were us. As I listened to the judge, not have any cultural competency.
That's right.
Diversity on the bench matters.
That's right.
I'm gonna say that again.
That's right.
Diversity on the bench matters.
Yes.
Because the judge kept saying, well, y'all didn't put length in it. You know why we didn't put length? Because Locks are locks,
That's right.
whether they're short locks or whether they're long locks.
That's right.
Right? We're not micromanaging. Thank you for your service. We are not micromanaging the length of your hair. The government has better things to do. So we didn't put it in. But if you understand locks,
That's right.
my son has locks. And by the way, Daryl's mama got locks. Her locks go all the way down to her buttocks, okay? Clearly that is important in their family. If you have locks, what you know, if you're trying to grow them, y'all know that little, you start off and they might be short and you twisting and they come loose because your hair isn't long enough, right? And your hair has to keep growing, you keep going back. If you don't maintain it and keep twisting it, and it doesn't get longer and you don't put stuff in it, it never locks. Okay, I'm just hold on, right? So do I gotta go to Planned Parenthood as well, right? So my point is this, it is intended for locks to be long because you do not have locks when your hair is short. They have this arbitrary length where it has to be shorter than where your eyebrows are. You can't have a lock shorter than your eyebrows. Your hair isn't sufficiently heavy enough.
That's right.
So, I mean, so I'm explaining to you, cultural competence is important.
That's right.
And they're arguing with us. Representative Reynolds testified, locks need length.
Yes, yeah.
Like we trying to explain to you, black hair,
And he's chosen his hairstyle.
right? And so what I'll say is, what disappointed me, if you're a trial lawyer, the judge needs to at least pretend like he looked at the evidence.
Facts matter.
Right?
Facts matter.
Dr.
Evidence matters.
Matthews, by the time they gave their closing, which Allie Booker gave a long closing, he immediately ruled. Wow. Now, if I was him, this is what I'd have did, right? Because I'm from the hood and gang recognized gang, okay? I'd at least called a recess for 5 or 10 minutes. So I could say I was gonna go look at the evidence, right? I said, and here's the problem with the judiciary. Impartiality matters.
Yes, it
All
does.
we want as people is to go into court and know we're gonna get a fair shot,
That's right.
right? And it wasn't fair. The fix was in. The hoodwink and bamboozle was in. But I'm gonna say this, I wanna bring it back to Darryl. Before the hearing, his mom was extremely, something was going on with her health and she was shaking and we had to sit her down and we had to go find her water and she was just upset. She told me she has seizures under certain stressful, so she's sitting, right? So we trying to get her set and stable and we going in, but she had hope. When we spoke before, she said, I'm gonna hope and I'm gonna pray that they're gonna do right by my baby. Darryl thought he was gonna get to go
To school.
to class, right? They had faith in the system. We already knew the fix was in because I was supposed to testify. The judge didn't want me to testify. So I was not allowed to testify. Right? I was not allowed to testify. They did not want people testifying as to what the legislative intent is. We know what the legislative intent is. We are the legislators who voted on it. They didn't want to hear that. After the case was over, I was so upset. Darryl and his mom walked straight to their truck, or SUV. Dr. Matthews, myself, and Representative Reynolds running behind him. He gets in the car and Darryl just is crying. That baby is crying, he's a baby. He was crying. And he said this about my hair. I just want them to educate me why they worried about my hair. I just want to be with my friends. Y'all know he was an honor student. He's an honor student. In case y'all didn't know.
That matters.
Okay? He literally is not allowed to participate in extracurricular activities.
That's right.
He is in prison at school. That baby should be in the classroom, not the courtroom.
And be a star.
Okay? So I'm gonna end with that, but the hoodwink and bamboozle was in. It's still in, and we do need the federal government. So thank you, Congresswoman. Thank you, Dr. Matthews, for fighting with this family and bringing it to our attention.
That's
because
right.
I wouldn't have known about it if it weren't for you.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Sorry.
Representative Jones, we're going to make Mr. George more than just a student. He's going to be one of the iconic symbols of the history of civil rights in America.
That's right. Yes.
He is a generation not of yesterday. He is a generation not of tomorrow.
Yes.
He is a generation right now.
That's right.
Every one of us has a fight. And like I started out, as I introduced Dr. Matthews, who's battling on every fight of justice, I was hoping I would not be standing here in 2024, listening to Representative Reynolds, listening to Representative Jones, listening to the pain of this young man's mother, listening to him cry in a car. I was hoping I wouldn't stay here today, but here we are. We are not going to let you down.
That's right.
Just want you to know, we are not going to let him down. Dr. Candace Matthews.
All right. Dr. Matthews.
Hello, everybody. Dr. Candace Matthews. I'm going to be very brief. The George family wanted me, since I am the spokesperson as well, they wanted me to let everyone know they appreciate everyone's support. They appreciate the media as far as with amplifying the issue on what they're going through. And they said that please stay strong for them because they're trying to stay strong through this process. But what's happening at this point right now, when they talk about racism in the classroom, that's the real critical race theory. That is what's happening right now. And for me to actually put my hand on it, to be on the front line when this was happening with the George family, it's a whole nother field.
Yes.
Okay? And I meant what I said about that Ku Klux Klan hat, because that's exactly the ideologies, that's exactly what is happening in that country town. That superintendent don't give a damn about us. That superintendent gives a damn about he doesn't want us in his schools. He doesn't want people that look like us in that school district. Well, you need to go on and get ready because we're not going nowhere. And State Rep Ron Reynolds, State Rep Yolanda Jones, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, we need you, because I told them yesterday. I say we need federal intervention.
Yeah, you did.
Thank you.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you think you did something.
Yeah.
But my sister right here is going to make you have it. And I'm going to be right there with her because we've been on several fronts. That's my sister.
Yes.
And Darryl George and his mom, I assured them, oh, this one right here?
That's right.
All of us together? Oh, no. You may have won the battle, but you done lost the war. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. I am delighted to acknowledge and have come forward the Mississippi Coalition to End Corporal Punishment. Is that Kamisha?
Kamisha Smith.
Would you come forward, dear? And then may I also acknowledge Sledge Leonidas and a Mr. I just want to acknowledge these other individuals. But anyhow, Marie and the Center for Law and Policy and others that are supportive. But you'll come after. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kamisha Smith. I am with the Mississippi Coalition to End Corporal Punishment. Yesterday, the scales of justice were weighed down by racism. We are here to dismantle the school-to-prison pipeline, disrupting policies that disproportionately push out black girls and black boys. And I want to be clear, this is not just about hair, and this is not just about Darryl. This is about the injustice that black students continue to face when trying to receive a quality education all across the U.S.
Oh, yes.
70 years after Brown v. Board, and we are still here having to fight for a quality education for students who look like me, for students who look like my youth leaders who I pulled out of schools to say, come on, we have to show up and we have to support Darryl. We have to be the courage that he needs. Young people led the civil rights movement. Young people were on the forefront. So we have to show up and show support for Darryl and for all the other black students who continue to be objects of racist policies. I'm with the Mississippi Coalition to End Corporal Punishment. The moment we heard about the Darryl George case, we knew that we had to caravan here with 15 parents and students to show up for him. Because in 2024, where it is still legal in 19 states, most in the South, to beat students in schools And it's no surprise that black girls and black boys are almost 4 times as likely to receive corporal punishment, 4 times as likely to be suspended, 4 times as likely to be pushed out of schools. And I want to keep this short, but I need the black national organizations to show up and to fight for us, to fight with us, even when the cameras are gone.
Yeah, come on.
We are disappointed, but we are not defeated.
Yes.
We will continue to fight for Darryl. We will continue to fight in Texas, in Mississippi, in Alabama, everywhere.
Thank you.
Because injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
Yes, it is. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Would you come?
Yes, I'll be brief. My name is Sheile Leonidas. I'm with the Houston Morehouse Alumni Association, also represent the Caribbean and the Haitian community. I want to say to Darryl George, we are proud of you.
Yes.
If nobody has said it to you, we are proud of you. Yes. I hear that he's an honor student. He's focused on his future, and to be able to stand for himself for something that he's convicted about is something very commendable. I know during the civil rights movement, there had to be people that came forward that took brave acts to stand up against things that we felt were unjust. This right here is a stance, and I feel like it's going to open up the doors and expose what we are as a country. We have to come together to support this young man, and I thank our representatives for opening a door and giving us an avenue to do so. So, Darren, we are proud of you, the family. We support what it is that you all are. I'm a Haitian migrant, and we have different backgrounds. We come in different hues, but one thing that we do know, we are different. And in this country, there's a big movement with diversity and inclusion. Why is there a fight for that? So that way that we can be seen for who we are. And that's what we want, and we don't want to be discriminated against that. There's nothing wrong with abiding by rules and policies, but those rules and policies should not be discriminatory. So Darren, again, we're proud of you, and we have you back.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, sir. Let me thank all of those who have driven miles and miles, our state representatives as well. I think the key and the crux of this moment is that I remain stunned. I do want to emphasize that members of Congress have called me, and also lawyers, civil rights lawyers, some of the premier civil rights lawyers from around the nation, and frankly believe that there's a twofold focus that you should look at. One, there is an innocent child seeking an education. Right. This is the same thing that generated the Brown versus Topeka. It was the unequal system of education, and that they went to the Supreme Court because a population of people in the United States were being denied equal education. Mr. George and others similarly situated are being denied an equal education. First of all, his education is not whole. It is not complete. It is not full. He is not interacting with his peers. He is not getting extracurricular activities. He is not in the spirit of learning. And the second is almost a silent brutality. His civil rights are being violated. He is being hurt. He's been diminished. He is being shortchanged. He is being treated differently. And in that, we have the wrong attitude toward a child that is under 21, that is in the custodial responsibility of school districts, cities, counties, the federal government. We have a certain responsibility for taking care of children. Right. So those are the elements that will be utilized for the fight for both Mr. George's mother and for Mr. George. Thank goodness for a mother that has laid the groundwork of fighting for her child's education. Absolutely. Any one question that you want at this time, or otherwise we call this to adjournment. Any question? Yes, ma'am. We want a Title VI investigation. That's number one, yes. In DOJ, we want a civil rights investigation. Title VI deals specifically with education and being discriminated against in an education setting. When you go to the DOJ, they may expand it to a national case of whether his civil rights are violated, and it may go to boys and girls that are African American. They may add indigenous Native Americans who wear long hair and may be in a setting that they are being challenged. I think the question would be if a Native American attended school in Barbers Hill, apparently his treatment or her treatment would be the same, meaning a long braid on a boy. That may be a cultural and indigenous requirement or part of his culture. And so that is a civil rights violation when you are stopped from doing something that is not criminal, not illegal, in terms of a serious confrontation of Barbers Hill's laws. It doesn't stop the education of the other children. That's the distinction. You are not stopping the education of anyone, but you are being denied in getting education. So we want a Department of Education investigation and a U.S. Department of Justice. And we'll be introducing the bill again federally.
Yes.
No, it will be soon. All of us are on the ground in work recess, and so as we go back to Washington, that will be one of the agenda items in a very near future to be introduced. We have to gather all the members. Like I said, this was a big deal, 2020, 2021, 2022. And the advisor who had this bill went to the White House, so this is well known.
She was talking about the investigation.
No, I think she's talking about the legislation, but the investigation, we're getting on that now. I've already spoken to both the U.S. Department of Education, but I have to pursue that, and I've already spoken to the Department of Justice. If there's any mercy, that is our hope. If there's any mercy. I would hope that what is being heard, and again, let me thank the media, I hope if you capture our words, that the superintendent will understand the actual brutality that is being acted upon this young man. It really is. I can't put any polite words. When you have a young man crying, a child crying, that would move me immediately. It would move, and in schools, there are waivers, there are interpretation, there are, remember the terminology, in the best interest of the child.
Right.
And you're allowed to do this as a teacher, you're allowed to do this as a school district. And I'm in the federal government, that's the terminology we use in Washington, in the best interest of the child. When we took the school program that I wasn't particularly supportive of, from Texas, we took a school program. It was from Texas. It was used here at HISD. It was used under the auspices, Governor Bush was governor, under the best interest of the child. That's what it was used in. We can get this done. We can get it done tomorrow. Saturday is tomorrow. We can get it done Monday morning.
Yes.
We could.
We need it.
Because they could do something in the best interest of Mr. George and his fellow his students.
Absolutely.
Because when you teach children tolerance, when you teach them respect of each other, that's the kind of adult they will turn into.
Yep.
That you respect him, he respects you. And if they do that, they would have an amazing experience in that school. Thank you.
Thank you. We need our Congresswoman. Yes, we do.
She said it. She said it. They just don't want us dead. And that's
Oh yeah, they want to get a shot. They want to get a shot with all the folks.
where the baby go?
Rachel, she right there. Come on, Rachel.
There she is. Come on, Rachel. Hold up your poster, baby. Yeah.
Which one you want to hold? Okay. That one?
Let me, hey, sweetie. Oh. Excuse me. Let's just get those.
How old is that?
Oh, right here.
On that other legislation, please get with my office. Okay? It's unbelievable.
How are you?
good,
I
dear.
still have to give you a call on that sex trafficking.
Okay.
Thank you so